Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Remember to like and subscribe for better scheduling for your next game. Maybe. Today we're doing Nightcrawler for my very first patron on Patreon. Now, I didn't announce I had a Patreon, but started one to figure out how it works, and then someone Googled it and donated. So join the Patreon, I'll figure out some rewards soon, and thanks Frank for taking the initiative. Speaking of initiative, let's take a look at a very high initiative boy who can teleport everywhere he wants.
When was the last time we played Nightcrawlers?
Listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world and
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to teleport, like a lot of teleporting. Next, we'll make sure that we're a master of dual wielding, and finally, we'll make ourselves nearly impossible to hit. For stats, we're using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Dexterity is number 1, even without teleportation. Kurt is a tough guy to pin down. Wisdom next, you're religious despite your devilish appearance, and I know religion is an intelligence skill, but the religion class is wisdom based. It's wild. Constitution will follow. You've got to be tough when mom is in the Brotherhood and dad's a demon, and your mutations don't really help you blend into a crowd. Intelligence after that, remember religion is an intelligence skill, and Kurt is a good student. Charisma is on the lower end, but I won't dump it because he grew up in the circus and goes on to teach drama, so we'll dump strength. We'll get to mitigate it by adding our proficiency bonus for pretty much every strength roll. Prehensile tails are tiefling things. Feral tieflings from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide are better for shy acrobats than their less feral counterparts. You get +2 dexterity and +1 intelligence, 60 feet of dark vision, resistance to fire damage, and the thaumaturgy cantrip, which does a bunch of small things that aren't very Nightcrawler, but check it out in the player's handbook because you have it. Take the entertainer background for the acrobatics skill. This is the only place where you can get it in the build, and swap performance for religion, more important to the character. We'll kick things off as a ranger, like the one from the player's handbook. I know it's gross, but if we want to use the Xanathar's Rangers, you gotta start with the PHB. First level Rangers can take 3 skills from the Ranger list, go for Athletics, Stealth, and Perception. You also get Favorite Enemy, giving you advantage on tracking down certain types of foes. Sentinels would be constructs, I'd go for that. You're also a natural explorer, letting you pick a type of terrain your group can travel in, and ignore difficult terrain, move at a normal pace while stealthing, find twice as much food while foraging, and track the exact number of creatures while tracking. These abilities are completely wasted without metagaming, so metagame. Whatever area the DM drops you in, pick that terrain. Honestly, even with metagaming, these abilities only help in like survival-focused campaigns. PHP Ranger is not good. Second level Rangers get a fighting style. 2-weapon fighting lets you add your ability modifier to the damage of your offhand weapon attack. Dual wielding lets you use 2 light weapons, attacking with the second using your bonus action. Normally you don't get to add your ability modifier to the damage of the second hit. That's what this takes care of. Obviously you want to hit twice. You can also learn Ranger spells, who famously have one of the best spell lists in the game. They don't, sorry to keep dunking on them, it'll get good in a second. Hunter's Mark is actually pretty great. It lets you pick a target to mark and deal an extra d6 damage, shoot with weapon attacks for up to an hour depending on your concentration. You move it as a bonus action if you kill the first target, and there's no somatic components, making this one of very few spells you can cast while dual wielding. Jump triples your jump distance for a minute. You need this to hop around like Nightcrawler does because of your negative strength modifier. Third level Rangers can choose a conclave. Horizon Walkers hunt for portals, but they also get to bamf around a little bit later. You can detect portals, letting you spend an action to find the closest portal within 1 mile of you. It can be pretty useful, but pretty situational. Planar Warrior lets you choose a target to deal an extra 1d8 force damage to next round, and it turns the weapon attack into force as well. Now, remember how Sentinels are those big metal things that probably wouldn't be hurt by a standard sword? This helps with that. Fourth level Rangers can grab an ability score improvement, bump your dexterity and your constitution. Odd numbers are bad, so also buff your accuracy, damage, AC, and HP. 2 little points doing a lot of work for Kurt. Fifth level Ranger is where this goes from blue guy with swords to Nightcrawler. You can learn second level spells, and as a Horizon Walker, that means you can learn Misty Step, teleporting you 30 feet as a bonus action. It's also a verbal only spell, meaning no penalty for dual wielding, cast it all you want. Keep in mind that means no bonus action offhand attack, but extra attack at this level lets you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action. If you're already where you want to be, this means 6d6 plus 12 damage per round with Hunter's Mark activated, which is really nice. Let's take a quick sabbatical to focus on our Catholicism with some cleric levels. Pick a divine domain. Trickery gives you blessings of the trickster, letting you give a creature you touch advantage on stealth checks for an hour. You can't use it on yourself, but there are other sneaky X-Men who could use this. Kitty Pryde comes to mind. You can grab 3 cantrips. Guidance gives someone a d4 to add to skill checks. Resistance Haste does the same for saving throws. Spare the Dying automatically stabilizes a creature with 0 hit points. I'm sure the X-Men learned CPR. For your first level spells, none of these are super in character. Disguise Self will help you blend into a crowd, letting you change your appearance for an hour. People can see through this with an investigation check against your spell save of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and your wisdom modifier. Your mom would be so proud. Actually, no, she wants you to be blue and proud, so she won't. The real benefit here is that your multi-classing spellcasters. Page 165 of the player's handbook gives you the full details, but you share slots between classes, and clerics get slots much faster than rangers. This means more Misty Steps more quickly, even though it's not from the cleric list. Second level clerics can channel divinity. Every cleric can turn undead, forcing a wisdom save on undead creatures, making them run away if they fail. The more in character option is invoke duplicity, creating an illusory duplicate of yourself that you can use to distract enemies and flank them for advantage on your attack rolls. For flavor, I'd say you're just bamfing around so much that people think there's 2 of you, which is something people regularly think the first time they encounter Kurt. Third level clerics can learn second level spells. Enhance ability lets you give a creature you touch advantage on skills of a certain type. I'm narrowing in on dexterity, as it also lets them ignore falling damage from heights up to 20 feet, but if you choose strength, it doubles their carrying capacity. Constitution gives them 2d6 temporary HP. But I'm saying you should just land gracefully like the acrobat you are. From the trickery list, Mirror Image creates 3 illusory duplicates of yourself that can take hits for you. When someone attacks you, roll a d20. When you have 3 duplicates, a 6 or higher hits the duplicate. When you have 2, it's 8 or higher, and when you have 1, it's 11 or higher. These duplicates disappear when they're hit, but have an AC equal to 10 plus your dexterity modifier, and that's your best stat. So bounce all around and make your enemies miss all their attacks. Last spell from this level, Pass Without Trace, lets you and creatures within 30 feet of you add 10 to their stealth checks. Nightcrawler is a sneaky dude. 4th level clerics get an ability score improvement or a feat. The acrobat feat from the feats for skills Unearthed Arcana gives you +1 dexterity, lets you double your proficiency bonus with acrobatics checks, and you can make a DC 15 acrobatics check to ignore difficult terrain. Advised Rangers get to do that for free, but you have to take a feat. We're mostly doing this for the expertise though. 5th level clerics can learn 3rd level spells, and from the trickery list, Blink lets you pop in and out of the material plane. At the end of each of your turns for a minute, roll a d20. On an 11 or higher, you go to the border or ethereal plane, merging somewhere within 10 feet of your original position at the start of your next turn. This isn't concentration, but does require somatic components, so start combat with it, then draw your swords next round and start bamfing to avoid damage. 6th level clerics can channel divinity twice per long rest. Trickery clerics also get another option. Cloak of Shadows lets you turn invisible on an action until the next round, but honestly free advantage from invoke duplicity is probably a better option. 7th level clerics can learn 4th level spells. Dimension Door from the trickery list lets you teleport 500 feet as an action, and you can bring friendly creatures with you, which is something Nightcrawler does a lot. If one of your fellow students is down, bamf them somewhere else, stabilize them with Spare the Dying, then bounce back into the fight. We're going to finish off our cleric levels really quick, as 8th level cleric is really good. You get another ability score improvement, cap your dexterity, and bump your intelligence up for better religion checks. None of your spells are dependent on this modifier, but it would be embarrassing if you forgot a Bible verse that you've carved into your arm. You also get Divine Strike, letting you add a d8 poison damage to 1 attack per round. Coating your blades in poison doesn't seem totally in character for a good boy like Kurt, but the extra damage is nice. Back over to Rangers. 6th level Rangers get improved favorite enemy and Natural Explorer, letting you pick another type of enemy or terrain to favor. You remember how great this was from level 1, right? 7th level Horizon Walkers get Ethereal Step, letting you step into the ethereal plane as a bonus action on your turn. This lets you move through objects and take no damage from any effects on the material plane. You can move up or down with double your movement. Come back at the end of your turn, so use this to teleport to a place you can't see. It's not something Kurt loves doing, but in a pinch he'll pull it off. 8th level Rangers get Land Stride, letting you ignore difficult terrain and move through non-magical plants without being impeded, and you have advantage on saving throws against magically created plants. You know how often your DM throws brambles down that completely defeat your party? No more. Thankfully, you also get an ability score improvement or a feat. At this point, grab the Dual Wielder feat for +1 to your AC while you're holding a weapon in both hands, the ability to draw or stow 2 weapons at the same time, and the ability to dual wield with any weapons without the heavy or 2-handed property. Honestly though, I'm gonna stick to the short sword. Your dexterity makes it worth it. 9th level Rangers can learn 3rd level spells. Haste is one of my personal favorites. It gives a creature you touch +2 AC, advantage on dex saves, double movement speed, and an extra action per round. That action can only be used for 1 attack, but use that for a spell and your standard action for the double attack, and you're good to go. Mirror Image and Blink are both non-concentration spells, so you can haste, mirror, and blink yourself to surround your enemies with Nightcrawlers. The downside here is that when the spell ends, you have to wait a turn to move move or take actions, so don't drop that concentration. 10th level Rangers get another type of favored terrain if that's something you care about. You also get Hide in Plain Sight, which lets you spend a minute to create a disguise that gives you a plus 10 to stealth checks if you don't move. Or, and hear me out, cast Pass Without Trace to give that to all of your allies within 30 feet with the ability to move. Oh, and it only takes one action instead of a full minute. Some of these ranger abilities are so obviously not useful, I have no idea why anyone would want to play this class. Oh right, Horizon Walker is dope. 11th level Horizon Walkers get Distant Strike, letting you teleport 10 feet before you make an attack action, and if you hit 2 different creatures with your attacks, you can make a third attack, not counting your bonus action offhand attack or another attack from haste. No spell slots are required for this, you can do it every round. It's one of my favorite abilities in D&D, and it makes the rest of Ranger worth it. Almost. Our capstone is the 12th level of Ranger. You get an ability score improvement, and you could put this in a couple places, but I'm going to go for Constitution for extra HP and better concentration. Dropping haste is rough. Now that we've hit level 20, let's talk about how viable this build is. First, I don't even know what to call this other than the Nightcrawler factor. Imagine having 5 attacks per round, 20 AC, being unable to be attacked roughly half the time, and even if you are attacked, you have a 50% chance that they hit a duplicate instead. You also have insane mobility options. If anyone ever gets an opportunity attack on you, what are you doing? Finally, you're incredibly well balanced. High dexterity, decent soft stats, and proficiency with strength saves, and the only strength skill. There isn't a negative modifier on your sheet. For weaknesses, you heard me complaining a lot about base Ranger today. But it's worth reiterating that there are a bunch of levels where the abilities can charitably be considered situational. There's also the issue of low charisma. It's not a super common save, but getting plane shifted kinda kicks you out of the campaign for a bit. I guess you're good at finding planar portals, so it's not as bad as it could be. You'll probably be able to get back pretty quick, but come on, no one wants to be in another plane. You also take a little while to fully power up, with 3 rounds passing before you can go Ultimate X-Man. You can still make attacks and bamf around, but one of your actions will be devoted to putting on another buff. But if one of your negatives is that you're only pretty badass for the start of a fight, that's a sign you're playing a pretty good build. Bamf around like the bamf you are. Take out a crowd of baddies all at once. Just watch out for plane shifters. The Brimstone Dimension is not a place you want to get stuck. Thanks again for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 builds per week. Thanks again to Frank. If you want to join him on the Patreon, check out the link in the annotation at the top right corner of the video. Come back next week for 2 types of stars.